Excitement this year amongst the guys when you met with them today?
Yeah, well, tonight you really couldn't talk any football tonight. Tonight was pretty much about the rules and regulations and what they cannot do. Tomorrow we'll talk about what they can do and what we want to do. So tomorrow night will be a little more fun.
Everybody show up that was supposed to show up?
They did. Everybody was here.
How good was it to get Brandon Alexander?
Well, he's a key component to that recruiting class, and we have high expectations of him. So to have him get on board is huge for us. So excited. He's a good kid. He's worked hard, and we look forward to seeing what he can do on the field.
Hey, Mike, is Caleb Russell still a walk-on, or is he going to be scholarship?
As of today, he's a walk-on.
Mike, is there a difference between now and 2 years ago in the way you're approaching the season, especially given all the progress made since that time?
Well, I think with this team that's going to be a little bit older, I think specifically last year, we were a young, really young football team, and you had guys, had very emotional roller coasters. This team, I think, is a little more stable, a little more focused, but I'll probably bear down on them a lot harder, because you don't have to handle them with kid gloves. Maybe at times last year 2 years ago, a little younger, and this team a little bit older.
Given your time in College Station, can you appreciate the anticipation only because A&M hasn't been predicted to be this good since Bob Stoops was starting his first year at Oklahoma, for crying out loud?
Yeah, it's nice to have this type of attention put on our program, but you still got to live up to those expectations. We have a lot of work to do to get to be at that level, and nothing's going to be handed to us. We got to work harder than everybody else. As I told the players at the end of spring, every team we play they have good teams, good coaches, good players. I said something has to make the difference, and it has to be our X factor, whatever that is. Working hard, chemistry, whatever it is. We have to have something different than everybody else, because everybody's working. Everybody has the same expectations when they start this thing off. So hopefully we'll have something that will separate us from other people and help us to win more football games.
So the search, even with all the talent, is for that X factor in the preseason camp?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Even with all the talent you have, then search is for that X factor in the preseason?
Well, yeah, I think we play a lot of good football teams that have a lot of talent and good coaches. So yeah, we have to be better. We have to work harder. We're not going to take any chances whatsoever. We're going to bear down and be the very best we can be.
Coach, what has this senior class meant to your program, and what is it going to mean when you go out and practice and having those seniors out there leading the practice?
Well, really and truly, the senior class that's here now, we came in, I think there were 17 kids committed. Most of those guys aren't here right now, to be honest with you. We went out and got about 8 guys, of which 7 are still here. But we've lost a fair amount of those seniors, so it's not a big senior class necessarily. And so the big class is our junior class, probably more so. But the guys that came in with me, obviously we're talking about the Jeff Fullers and Cyrus Grays and Tony Girardi, these guys like that. It's certainly the fact that we were able to get them. I remember I was working in Houston, getting ready for games and calling guys at nighttime. We only had 8 scholarships left, and so that was quite a chore. But those guys that came in with us that year, certainly we've been through a lot together. So, and it's not a big group, but it's a very special group, all of them, every single one of them. The ones that play, the ones that don't play, they're all special. They hung in here, and they've helped us move along, so I'm real proud of them.
How do you carry this pass rush forward without Von Miller?
Well, I don't think you ever replace Vaughn with a Vaughn, because those guys only come around every 10 years if you're lucky. Number 2 pick in the draft. But I do think that there are certain elements defensively that we can incorporate that will allow us to be better this year. Obviously, guys have to step up. a lot of question marks in the linebacker pool, who's going to be the guy and inside and outside. But I think collectively, they have to answer the Von Miller question as opposed to individually. I don't know if we have an individual that's going to answer it, but I think Sean Porter's going to have a heck of a year. I think we have some talented guys that have to step up and make some plays for us. So I'm hoping that our defense will be that much better this year. The second year in the defense, you should make your biggest jump your second year. But we do lose 3 significant players. When you think of Vaughn, Mike Hodges, and Patterson, I mean, those guys are pretty good players. So guys have to step up for us to overcome the loss of those 3 guys. But I think, how do you handle Vaughn? You handle it collectively. You handle it with a bunch of guys making plays, not just one guy.
Talk about the challenge for Ryan, especially last year. He jumped in at midseason at quarterback, did the job, but now the challenge of being the guy.
It's different. I think the dynamics of coming off the bench and being the guy and everything kind of playing out for you, a little bit different than going into the season and going through the summer. There's pluses and minuses. The pluses are the fact that he's had the team this summer and did a great job of leading on his own of our offense and getting familiar with guys and being the guy that's with that group and working with the Jeff Fullers and the Wachakus and the Swopes and the Cyrus Grays. So that's a good part of it. The tough part is the expectations he now has upon himself as he goes into this season, which he has to handle. But I think Ryan's mature enough to be able to handle those expectations, and he'll rise to that challenge.
Coach, even if this recruiting class is as good as you project it to be, what would be a good number of guys that come in and that would contribute with the talent that you have in front of them?
I predict. We just had a team meeting. I told somebody that needed to step up and beat out Jeff Fuller and another guy. We need guys to step up and beat out Tony Drydetti. So it could be any number. Who's ever can do it. The better we'll be. Anybody challenging those guys to make those guys better, we'll be better. And so I said to Jeff, Jeff, if someone is better than you, he's going to play. And he said, yep. I said, Tony, if we find one of those young linemen better than you, he's going to play. Yeah, I understand. So how many of those guys are going to, I don't know. I'm thinking between 6 to 8 freshmen will play for us in some capacity this year.
What do you do with Kyle
We will
Mangan?
always play freshmen.
What do you do with Kyle Mangan's situation going forward after this weekend?
Well, that was certainly a disappointment for me. He is a good kid that made a bad decision. It's something that I've addressed to him. We met today at 10 o'clock. He understands what he has to do to get back in the good graces of his football team, and there are consequences that he has to face. So as I've done with everything of that type of nature, I keep it between us. But kids know when they screw up, there's going to be consequences, and he understands that.
Coach, you've got so much talent up and down this roster. Is mental toughness going to be a key component to success? For example, you go into Norman, Oklahoma, where they're 72-2 under Stoops, and at home, is that going to be something that's going to be real important for success, is mental toughness? Because y'all beat them by two touchdowns last year.
Mental toughness is always an important component to championship play. We have it on our list of components that's necessary to win championships. And I think it's very, very important for any team, this team, last year's team, the year before, to have mental toughness. That's something that we practice during the course of the year. You just can't come into the season and say, okay, we're going to be a mentally tough team. I spend time with David Kennedy, our strength coach, and how he's challenging them all summer long. We go through Junction, which is 2 weeks of hell, is what the players would say. We challenge them there. We challenge them in practice. So we'll constantly talk a lot about mental toughness. So it is a big part of what we have to get done as a football team.
You change your fall practice with so much experience. You tweeted anything. You're basically going to do everything just the same you have in the past.
I always go back every year and I tweak something. And I look at things and I'll see how we come out of camp and make a decision there exactly. I've looked at the practices. I've already scripted the first week of practice for fall camp. For the game week, which I'll go back and change based on what we're doing well and what we're not doing well. But I wanted to see what we're installing. Can we fit it into that format? I will always tweak practice. I always do that.
Do you have a depth chart I know we got one at Big 12 Media Day, but do you maintain one through
Yeah.
through August?
Yeah, what I tell the players, we just talked about the depth chart, and I said, y'all can look at that all you want. It doesn't mean diddly to me. I said that depth chart will change daily based on what guys are doing. So sometimes the guy will look at it and see his name on the fourth running back or the fifth receiver or something like that, and they get all discouraged. But, I've had times when I've had the seventh running back became our starter. 1 year in Green Bay. So, I mean, I don't put a whole lot of stock in the depth chart. It gets us started, and that's really the only reason why we have one. But I think if you're on a good team, to me, the good teams, and I think the difference, you said, what's the biggest difference in our team is they compete at practice. I thought, my first year, we didn't really compete at practice, so we didn't get better every day the way you need to get better. I think if you elevate the talent level and they know that they got to do it, they'll compete at a higher level. And I think that's what we have going for us a little bit right now, and hopefully that will play out well.
Any position changes that you're looking at the first couple of weeks that could answer some questions for you?
Yeah, we got a couple freshmen. We're going to take a look at a couple things. I don't want to do anything until we get out on the field. I don't want to say anything until I talk to those kids. We're going to just see how they play the position they're in, but I have ideas about some things that if it doesn't work out, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Coach, when people talk about this offensive line, they always talk about the two freshman tackles, but you've got a couple of offensive linemen like Cedric Abui, who you almost have to find a way to get him on the field. He's so talented.
Our offensive line has a lot to prove. I thought we came on in the second half of the year, but they got to pick up and they got to be a lot better. They were young last year. We allowed for some mistakes, so that group has to collectively play better, and I have high expectations of them. Cedric Abui is certainly a fine athlete, and we have a plan for him. He's going to play some this year, and we just got to find a rotation where he can get in there.
So you don't mind playing offensive lineman now as true freshman?
Well, after last season, we played true freshman last year. Ben Compton will be a viable candidate for a backup center position. Patrick is going to start out as the starter at least the first couple of days, see where he's at. But yeah, I don't have a problem with those freshmen.
One more.
Coach, what message do you send to your players when you have a negative like the Kyle situation, to turn it into a positive and try to find some silver lining for those guys, for the rest of the team?
I don't think anybody left my discussion about that situation very positively. I think they understand how I feel about that. We don't need any distractions, and we need to move forward from that and be smarter. Things like that are just like being in the game. You got to walk away from them. There's two sides to every story. You understand that, but at the same time, based on what we have on our plate, my message is simply, hey, if you're in a game and that happens, you walk away. You hope the officials catch it, you walk away. Same thing in Northgate. A situation like that, you hope the officials, police catch it, you walk away.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.